Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti. I am MrPhotographer.com. Recently, I received an update to my beta version of Luminar AI. In this video, I just want to show you this updated version of Luminar AI and try to answer some questions, both questions that I received directly and just some questions I've been reading on the internet. Some people have been asking some things about whether or not Luminar AI does this or what's different from it in Luminar 4 and so on. Now, I'm not going to probably process an image all the way through, but I just want to show you some things. Now, when I did update my beta version, my original beta version of Luminar AI to this version, they did say in the update process that they're pretty sure the workspace is complete. So when Luminar AI is released, it should pretty much look like this. They, of course, probably reserve the right to change some things a little bit, but probably what you're seeing now is what you will receive. Now, they haven't committed to a specific release date, at least as far as I know, but they're still saying that it's for the holiday season. So the holiday season is technically right now, but I think realistically, I think within 2 to 3 weeks it will be released. So if you pre-ordered Luminar AI, you should probably get it within 2 to 3 weeks. That's me speaking, not the company. All right, let's just make that clear. Now, as far as some of these questions that I've received, one thing that I've received directly is someone was asking me that they noticed that there was no star ratings when you're in the catalog. Those of you that use Luminar 4 and just about every other application out there, you know, you could rate an image by star ratings. With many applications, you could give them color labels. And of course, you could flag them either as a keeper or a reject and so on. Well, Luminar AI, at least when it's released to the public, will not have star ratings and color labels. It's only going to have the flags. And if you hover on an image, you can see a little heart come over here. Also, if you go up to image set flag, you can see favorite, rejected, unmarked, and you can see there's some keyboard shortcuts. And they're the common keyboard shortcuts that many applications use. P for favorite, X for reject, U for unmark it or unpick it. So P is a pick, X is a reject, and so on. So just flag status will be available. Also, I've mentioned this in previous videos, the Luminar 4 catalog is not going to be compatible with the Luminar AI catalog, and they're not going to convert it. So this is a whole new application. It's though you're starting from scratch. And I really want to make sure everyone knows that, because I really don't want to blow smoke up anyone's skirt. I want to make sure that everyone realizes what they're getting here. It's essentially a whole new application. So the edits you did in Luminar 4, as far as I know, and for what they told me, they won't be recognized in Luminar AI, nor will the catalog and those edits convert to Luminar AI. So it's like starting from scratch. And the catalog in Luminar AI is limited compared to the catalog features that are in Luminar 4. All right, so that's clear there. All right. Now, as far as the workspace is concerned, when you're in the catalogs here, you can see we have catalog, templates, edit, export. It's kind of like the suggested workflow. You go from left to right. If you want to add another folder images, you could do that, or you could just edit a single image by clicking on that little plus sign. Over here at the far right, you could change the size of the thumbnails. Excuse me. You could go to medium, large, and largest. So I kind of like medium, I guess. So then you could have those. Over here, of course, you have folders, and you could add more by clicking on the little plus sign here. You have albums. Albums are collections of images from various folders. So they're akin to collections in Lightroom. So those are albums there. And when you decide on an image you want to work on, you could just then go to templates if you want to try a template first. And what Luminar AI will do is it examines the elements that are in an image and will select, recommend some sets of templates for that specific type of image. For example, with this image, it recognized that there's a person in it. So for this image, it says experimental, influencer, blockbuster. So you kind of get a film look if you're going for a film look. So these are kind of recommended for this specific photo. It also has close-ups down here in essentials. And there's other templates. Now, the difference between this beta version that I'm using now and the previous beta version is they say that the recommendations are better. They've been refined, and also they've added a lot more templates. And by the time the actual software is released, there's going to be even more templates, and they hope to refine the recommendations even further. So what you could do is if you go, let's say to close-ups, because this is kind of a close-up, right? So you could just click on these. Now, you don't hover over them. That was a question that was brought up in one of the meetings I had, and they said that it just was a little bit too slow right now. So they don't have it so that you could just hover over the template and see a preview of what that template looks like. You have to click right on it. And when you do, it will then apply that template to the image. Now, just for the sake of this demonstration, I'll let you know that these are Sony A7R4 RAW files. They're very large files, like 61, 62 megabytes. So they are going to be a little slower than when I was practicing or messing around with this when I first updated the beta version to this beta version. I had some Nikon Z6 files, and those rendered very quickly. So these take a little longer to render. You can see, so we could go in, although it's going fairly quickly, you could see. So we have all these different templates. Now the whole idea, their whole philosophy of developing Luminar AI, and this I heard right from the CEO of Skylum Software, is they want to try to create a software application that is one where one could process images very quickly. Now, many of us, at times maybe me too, but many of us like to process images. We like to be in front of the computer, and we like pushing those sliders around and all that stuff. But many of us, especially busy professionals, busy wedding photographers, busy portrait photographers, they don't want to be in front of their computer all the time. They want to get in and out. Luminar is more for that type of person, and maybe it's more for the person that isn't as technologically astute as some of us are, that aren't as good at computers. Luminar AI might be a better choice for them as well. But it's not for the person that really enjoys the post-processing process, because you could get in and out of it really quick. So you could see I could just pick a template, right, and be done with it. You could go to different ones too. Like I've showed you these experimental ones before. A lot of people hate these. When I first saw them, I liked them, and now I kind of don't like them anymore. But I'm kind of like that. I'll buy a new car and like it for 2 weeks, and then I want to trade it in and get a different one. But anyway, that's to give you an idea. All right, so they've improved the algorithm for it to kind of understand what's in the image, and then the recommendations of the templates have been improved because of that. So you could see I don't like any of those. So you could come through and just see if there's anything here you like. And if there is, then go with it. Now you can see this one's taking a long time to render. There it is. I kind of like that one. But you could go through templates and you could say you're done. Also, you could create your own templates. They're basically presets. Or in Skylum, talk, they're looks. They're basically that. But it has that added feature where it examines what's in the image and comes up with a recommendation for you. So you could come in, go over to templates, go back here for this image. And this is probably similar. Now it's doing this monochrome look, experimental look again, and it has this essence look. So this is still, because it has a person in it, and that one's taken a long time to render, I think. I don't think, yeah, there it is. And there's that one, there's that one. Here's a Rembrandt look. That one, I don't know if that's rendered right or not. And there, I think I kind of like that Rembrandt look for that. So you could say you're done if you just want to use a template. Now let's just go to a different type of image here. We'll go to this kind of just mundane landscape sunset image that I actually just took the other day. You could do a template again, but if you don't want to, you go to the edit panel here, and we have all the different edit tools. Now, to answer another question, some of the edit tools are identical to the tools that were in Luminar 4, but they changed the name of them. For example, I think it's under, I forget where it is. Give me a, here we are, mood. This is LUTs. They call it mood now. So some of them are identical. They just changed the name. There's also a lot of tools that are nested with other ones, or adjustments that are nested inside of other ones. For example, if we go up here and we go to color, you can see the HSL panel is nested in color. So we go there and you have to fold it open to get to it. So there's a lot of that, like, adjustments that are nested with other adjustments. So there's a lot here. It's just kind of presented in a more compact way. Now, one thing they've supposedly improved from the first beta I used to this beta is this composition AI. If we open that, you can see you get, it's a crop tool, right? So you could crop the image, and you could manually crop it if you'd like. If you prefer, though, you could just click this composition AI button, and again, it examines the elements in the image, and it comes up with a suggested crop for you. Supposedly, they examine the images that were cropped by, several different professional photographers, and that's how they came up with these kind of rules to crop the image. Now, personally, I might not have cropped it this way myself, but let's just say we'll roll with it, because I don't like this kind of cottage or whatever you want to call this on the water. See how that's kind of cut off right there? I don't really care for that. I could pull it in a little bit more from, like, say, the bottom if I want. So I don't have to use that straight out of the box. I could come in and readjust things if I'd like to. So maybe I could include that entire cottage, I'll call it a cottage, that's out there on the water. So maybe I'd prefer to do that. And then when I'm ready, I want to accept the crop. All I need to do is close down the tool, and it will apply the composition or that crop to the image. Then I could go through and I could just adjust this. Now, I want to try to demonstrate some of these AI features for you. Some of the AI stuff was in, of course, Luminar 4, like Accent AI. So we could just kind of move that to the right to adjust it. Sky Enhancer, you can see that. Move that to the right. We have Structure AI, which was, of course, in Luminar 4 as well. You can see, you can make it look really HDR, or give it more of an ethereal, kind of moody look. Let's go with the moody ethereal look on this one, like that. You could jump down to color. We could give it some more saturation. Again, we have that HSL that's kind of nested in there. Black and white adjustments are here. We're not going to do that. Let's see. We have detail. Nested in detail, you have detail masking, sharpening masking. So you could try to remove any of the small, medium, or large detail you apply to the image. You could mask it from various parts of the image, and you could mask sharpening as well. For example, most often we don't want to sharpen the sky in a landscape image, and that will help you do it. We have denoise there. Then we have these landscape adjustments. There's also advanced settings here. Just be aware of that. So we can move this up to golden hour, because it was the golden hour. This was the sunset. Foliage enhancer will enhance the sky as well. You could really overdo it with these sliders a lot. You could dehaze it if you want, a little bit there. You could have the vignette, of course. Then as we go through the creative tab, of course, we have Sky AI, where we could replace the sky, augmented sky, where we could add objects to the sky. This, of course, is in Luminar 4. Supposedly a lot of objects are going to be added. Skies are going to be added. I don't know if they're in my beta. It doesn't look like they are, but supposedly that will happen. Atmosphere AI is so you could add fog to the image if you want. Supposedly it examines the image and gets a depth map of the image, so it knows what's in the foreground, midground, and background, and it will more intelligently add these atmosphere elements to an image. So layered fog kind of goes in the middle more or less. So you can see how it's going around this cottage here. It's not going in front of it. I really don't like that, but I don't like that specific look on this image. But you get the idea of that atmosphere AI. We can do sun rays here. We'll place sun center. We'll take this and we'll move it right over the sun, and then we'll add some sun rays. Penetration, we could make them very strong so they kind of overwhelm everything in the scene, or maybe a little less. Move it to the left. Then we have some sun settings right here, the sun radius, the glow radius, how much it's glowing from the middle there, the glow amount. Like that. Let's see, rays settings, number of rays, randomize. Let's go to warmth because we need to warm everything up here a little bit to match the scene. So we could warm up those elements there. So you could see how you could do these sun rays. That, of course, was in Luminar 4. Dramatic look, mood look. We already kind of, this is, talked about this. This was the LUTs. If you want to add a LUT. And LUTs, you can just hover over them, which is a great time saver. So you could just hover over them and get a preview of what that LUT will look like when it's applied to your image. So those are LUTs. We'll let that go for now. Toning is just, split toning that you're used to, maybe in older versions of Lightroom you're familiar with. Matte, give it a matte look. I don't really care for matte looks usually. Sometimes on portraits I do, but not here. Mystical, we already kind of mystified it a little bit. You can move that to the right. Glow, you could give it kind of a soft focus glow, if so that's what you're going for. I'm just moving sliders now. I'm not really paying too much attention. I just want to give you an overview and let you visually see what is in this application and what you could expect when you do get it. Face AI, which of course was in Luminar 4. Skin AI. Body AI, which I demonstrated in the past. I demonstrated all three of these in the past. High key, that's more, they have it in the portrait area because most often we use a high key portrait, you think of it. Then these professional, auto distortion control, remove chromatic aberration, advanced settings. You could defringe if you have any, any distortions. You could fix with the lens distortion thing slider there. De-vignette, if your lens is vignetting, you could fix it all there. All those optic adjustments. Super contrast, that's been in Luminar 4 as well. I think they might have called it something else. I don't remember now. Color harmony, nested in here. This goes back to even Luminar 3. Some of these adjustments, color contrast, split color warmth. So you can make the warm elements of the scene cooler or make them warmer. And you can make the cool elements of the scene warmer or cooler with those sliders. I always kind of like that adjustment. I don't know why. And color balance. This is more of a Photoshop type thing where you could come in and affect the color balance of the shadows, midtones, and highlights. Let's see, dodge and burn. That's, of course, was in previous versions of Luminar, and the clone stamp tool is here as well. And when you open that, you see how it prepares it, and it kind of reverts back to our unprocessed image. So if we need to clone away anything, we could do that here. Nothing in the image that I need to do that with. So you just close it, and there might be a bug because it's not reverting back to what I just adjusted. Now I could go to my history panel, and I could go find where I was, which was right there. And it's not doing anything. Oh, there it goes. All right. All right, there we go. So that's probably still a bug, and I'll let them know about that. Go back to the Pro panel. We did everything there. Here is local masking. I did a video specifically on that where you could mask out specific parts of an image. Again, it uses AI technology to find the specific parts you're doing the local masking to. So that is there. As I mentioned, I did a video on that already. So then when you're done, you could go to the Export tab. I really hate this image. Don't judge me on it. I didn't I would never share this in the real world. You could save it to disk. You could send it through email. You could send it through messages, at least on a Mac. I'm not sure if that is available on a Windows machine. You could send it to SmugMug or 500px. Right here, when you do save it to disk, let's say, you'll come up with the export dialog. And I can't move it. But you could do sharpening. First of all, what type of file format are you going to use? Like, let's say I'm going to do JPEG. You could resize it. You could sharpen it. Make the long edge, short edge dimensions. So however you want to resize it. And then the quality of the JPEG. Of course, these options will change depending on what file type you're saving it to. For example, PNG doesn't have that slider. You have the color spaces. TIFF has compression available and the bit depth, as well as the resolution. We have JPEG 2000, which is an actually more newer form of JPEG that never caught on. It actually is better, but it's never caught on, and some applications may not be able to read those files. You could save it as a Photoshop file or a PDF even. So you could save stuff as a PDF, which isn't as common. So you have a lot of options there. And let's see how fast it is. I have not exported anything from this yet, so we're going to export this to my desktop, and I'll click Save. Let's just see how fast it is. It's exporting. What I've noticed is Lightroom exports really very quickly, but it seems like almost every other application out there is really slow. But that one did pretty good. There it is right there, but I'm going to promptly throw that in the trash because that's not anything I'm proud of. So that's the latest beta version of Luminar AI. I would, from what I've read, is that as far as the looks and the features, what you'll be getting when it's actually released to the public should be very similar to this. They're going to, right now they're working on making it perform better, and they're working on those templates to give you more of a selection and to make them better, better recommendations. And I think I've also heard that the composition AI, they're still working on that, trying to make that a little better. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys soon.